Tennessee will be on the practice field on Wednesday morning. Brent, what are you looking for?
Well, I mean, everybody wants to know about quarterbacks.
Sure.
I mean, that's the first thing. You're not going to win the job in the first day. I think I want to see what some guys look like. What's the summer been like? We've seen a few guys at camps here and there. Who else has changed their body a great deal? What does Banks look like? What does Roman Harrison look like as they transition into new positions? Where's Miles Campbell? He was so big in the spring. What's his body look like since he's been here 6 months? As well as some other newcomers. So it's a little bit of the eyeball test for me on day one. Just kind of who looks the part, who's changed their body the most since we saw them in spring.
Well, I'm just interested for the newcomers. Obviously, there's a lot of new bodies, especially on the defensive side of the ball with the new defensive lineman, Mitchell at linebacker, obviously the corners with Turnage and then Kamal Haddon. And then what do the receivers and running backs look like after the summer? We know what they look like in spring, but let's face it, nobody's expecting the defense to set the world on fire, but people are expecting a much more versatile and high-octane offense. So those younger players, the younger receivers, the Jimmies, Callaway and Holiday, what's Javonte Payton look like? What does Tyon Evans, after going through summer, really didn't have much of a spring because he was injured with the ankle. What's he look like? That, to me, those are the key positions, offense and then just newcomer-wise.
Yeah, there's no doubt because you're not putting on pads, so it's hard to make any kind of evaluation on the transfer defensive linemen. It's hard to make, okay, who's their best five on the offensive line? You're not going to solve that until you start hitting people. But you can make the eyeball test, particularly with those skill guys. There is some new guys coming in, as you mentioned, creating competition at corner, which I don't know has gotten enough talk about that because they're not set at corner at this point.
Correct.
I mean, they got Warren Burrell, who they're high on. You got Alontae Taylor, but there's competition at corner. What's that nickel spot going to look like? I think this is the one thing we know. There will be more video posted of Joe Milton throws on Wednesday morning than we've ever seen of a quarterback throwing. What does it mean and all of those things? I want to see him throw it. I want to see those quarterbacks obviously throw it. But again, nobody's winning that job on day one.
And then I think for me it's, what are some of those guys like a Theo Jackson? Like Theo Jackson, I think right now if Tennessee was making out their board, would probably be kind of penciled in to be, the nickel. But you as well as I know that, there are going to be some guys that have just arrived that are going to be pushing. Danico Slaughter, who was here a year ago, is going to be pushing. There's going to be players that are pushing some of those vets. How do they respond? Because, while they may have it right now, that don't mean they'll have it a month from now.
Well, and that's the interesting thing because all we've talked about, it feels like, is how this program has no depth. And in spots, they have no depth. Linebacker.
In other spots, they do.
But in other spots, they've got some pretty healthy competition. I think nickel's going to be healthy. I think corner's going to be healthy. We'll see what happens at safety. I think there's a little better competition on the offensive line than maybe is talked about some.
What's K'Ron Calvert moving around like? Because he was 100% in the spring. I know they're hoping that he'll be back to 100%, come, tomorrow. What's it like, What's it look like for him? Because he can be a difference maker if healthy.
Yeah, no doubt. The last thing for me, I think offensively, in addition to those newcomers and obviously everybody talking about the quarterbacks, what kind of chemistry do those guys have? Okay, we talked to Velus Jones down at SEC Media today about throwing with all those quarterbacks. This is a program not many years removed from not doing 7-on-7 work in the summertime. What kind of rhythm and chemistry do those guys have out of the gate? Is this going to take a week for them to get some chemistry to have a real quarterback competition? Are they in enough sync where they're going to jump out of the gate on day one and be ready to go? That'll tell you how much work they've got done this summer to me.
All that's great and good, but as we all know, what we just said is a moot point because everybody by 11 o'clock is going to want to know what Harrison Bailey did, what Joe Milton did, was Hendon Hooker a factor? What about Brian Maurer? Quarterbacks. That's going to be the theme throughout the month of August here on this practice field and over Neyland Stadium when they have scrimmages throughout fall camp. They're revving the engines, getting ready for fall camp. For Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price.